The Harry Carey story was not in the public interest.
What would be?
I'm not entirely sure. I'd be speculating.
Well, could you speculate for a moment?
A life-threatening injury might warrant the public's interest.
But if you had been let off gruelling marches and given preferential treatment at Sandhurst, then it would have been noticed by others there, correct?
Yes, if it was happening at that period of time.
Would you be relieved or disappointed if the court found that you had been the target of hacking by Mirror Group newspapers?
I'd only be speculating. I believe that phone hacking was at an industrial scale across at least 3 papers at that time. And that is beyond doubt. To have a decision against me and any other people that come behind me with their claims, given that Mirror Group have admitted hacking, yes, I would feel some injustice.
So you want to have been phone hacked?
Nobody wants to have been hacked, my lord. The headline seems to suggest people were celebrating my breakup, which is a little bit mean. I'm not sure how people would have known about the breakup, as we wouldn't talk about that.
There was a front-page article in the News of the World on the same day which reported on the breakup. In the Mirror article, there are only 2 references to the breakup. The information about the split and the quote are very similar to the News of the World's reporting earlier that day. Are you implying that phone hacking was used to give the photographers information about his visit to the nightclub?
It's very suspicious. I'm not sure how the photographers knew he was going to be there.
A memo by journalist Zoe Griffin suggests she had gone to the Amica nightclub herself to report on him being there.
This was perhaps the case, but the article seems suspicious. Going through it again now, Hooray Harry is dumped, was hurtful, to say the least. That such a private moment was turned into a bit of a laugh. The fact that the payments were referred to as Project Harry is incredibly disturbing. The level of surveillance that I was under was quite something.
You're not suggesting that Hooray Harry was a reference to celebrating that you were being dumped, are you?
Yes. Again, if it has been used before or not, for me to be the subject or victim of this, to see the word used in this term, is hurtful.
The article quotes that Chelsea got tired of his hooray lifestyle. It's not celebrating the demise of your relationship. The matter of a senior royal serving on the front line is a matter of legitimate public interest reflected in the press. This is about your professional life rather than your private life.
Are you suggesting that while I was in the army, that everything was available for the press to write about?
Can I just repeat, this isn't about you asking me questions. It's about me asking you questions. At what point did you first read the article in The People?
Like most of them, I can't recall. But if that's to suggest the distress was somehow reduced, it certainly wasn't and hasn't been.
Let's move on to...
Part of that article suggests Chelsea and I were due to spend 5 days away before I returned to London. Again, my lord, that's a classic example in my mind of a story coming out previously, which flagged where I was going, who I was with, that no doubt incentivized any reporter at the time. Sorry for interrupting.
Prince Harry, we are now on the 22nd article.
Good morning, Mr. Green.
When did you first go to solicitors to seek advice about a possible claim about Mirror Group newspapers?
I didn't go to them. I bumped into my lawyer, David Sherborne, in France. It's in my book. This meeting happened in 2018.
So prior to you bumping into him, you hadn't sought advice?
No, not at all.
So it wasn't a concern over any particular article that led you to go to solicitors?
No, I'd never been shown anything. It was all contained by the palace. Even if I'd wanted to, I wouldn't have been allowed to. It was a way to put the abuse, intrusion and hate that was coming towards me and my wife, and seeing if there was any way to find a different course of action without relying on the institution's way.
But you'd known that for years, that News Group had been intercepting your phone. Did you first decide to sue the News Group and then decide to claim against Mirror Group newspapers? You knew that there was no call data from Mirror Group newspapers.
There was industrial-scale destruction of evidence.
You constantly refer to destruction of evidence. Where do you get this idea of destruction of evidence by the Mirror Group?
My legal team.
Do you think your phone was consistently hacked throughout the 15-year period between 1996 and 2011? the time period that makes up your claim against MGN?
It could have been happening on a daily basis. I simply don't know.
Are you aware of any evidence to show this?
No, that's part of the reason I'm here, my lord.
There were a flurry of other articles on the same day that the Mirror article was published. Have you seen this particular story on your relationship with Chelsea Davy in any other publications, such as the Daily Record and Daily Star?
Not those papers, I don't think.
Why not?
I don't believe there was industrial-scale phone hacking at those publications. I have no reason to believe this was the case, and I haven't looked further into other titles. I'm quite busy with other litigation, my lord.
In your witness statement, you say you can't understand how any of the media knew where you and Ms. Davy were, or who she was with at the time of the article. By the time of the article in the Daily Mirror, her identity and your relationship were already in the public domain, weren't they?
Yes, but I was besieged with photographers at the remote polo ranch in Argentina, and don't understand how, because only Chelsea, myself and Marco Dyer had arranged it.
You've been sat in the witness box for over a day and a half. You've had to go through these articles and answer questions in a very public courtroom, knowing the media is watching. How has that made you feel?
It's a lot.